Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's be honest. If you're just starting to get serious about money, it can feel pretty overwhelming, right? Like this big confusing maze.
Yeah, definitely.
So if that's you, if you're listening and feeling brand new to all this, well, you're in the right place. Today, we want to kind of cut through that noise
Hmm.
and pull out some really practical, actionable steps you can take towards feeling more secure financially, starting like right now.
Good goal.
We're going to look at two main things based on some great sources we dug into. First, what can you do today to manage your money, especially when things feel a bit, turbulent economically?
Yeah, that's key right now.
And second, why getting a solid grasp of the basics financial literacy is basically your long-term superpower.
That's a great way to put it. We looked at an article all about budgeting when the economy's shaky, and another one stressing just how important understanding basic finance really is.
And they link up, presumably.
Oh, totally.
Ah,
Especially when you're taking those first steps,
yeah.
they really build on each other.
Okay, let's dive in then. First thing, knowing where your money actually goes. Our sources hammer this home as like step one, non-negotiable.
Absolutely foundational.
It sounds almost too simple, maybe,
Mm.
but tracking every single dollar, especially if you haven't done it before, can be, well, eye-opening.
It really can be. Because, if you don't actually know your current spending patterns, how can you possibly make smart choices about changing them?
Right. You're just guessing.
Exactly. And the article points to some really helpful tools here. Apps like Monarch Money, YNEB, that's you need a budget,
Ah, right. Heard of that one.
and Copilot Money. What's great about these, especially for beginners, is they do the heavy lifting. They track your spending automatically, categorize it.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to manually type in every coffee.
Not necessarily, no. They connect to your accounts and give you this clear overview. Takes a lot of the tedious work out of it.
And I bet that's where people have that aha moment you hear about.
For sure. You think you know where it's going, but seeing it laid out, maybe those streaming services add up or, eating out costs way more than you realized.
Yeah, the little things. They sneak up on you.
They really do. So once you have that clarity, that picture of your spending, the next absolutely vital step, particularly when you're starting, is building a safety net.
The emergency fund.
Exactly, your financial cushion. The experts we looked at recommend saving about 3 to 6 months worth of your essential living costs.
Okay, 3 to 6 months. That can sound like a mountain to climb if you're just starting out with zero.
It definitely can feel that way. But the key advice is start small. Don't let the big number paralyze you.
Right, like break it down.
Precisely. The article even suggests setting aside maybe just $20 or $50 a week, something that feels doable.
Okay, that feels less intimidating. 20 bucks, 50 bucks,
Hmm.
you build momentum.
Exactly. And those small amounts, they really, really add up over time. And importantly, keep that money somewhere smart.
Not just under the mattress.
Haha. Probably not the best idea. A high-yield savings account is the recommendation.
Why high yield specifically?
Well, two reasons. One, it's accessible. You can get the money fairly easily if a real emergency hits. And two, high yield means it earns a bit more interest than a standard savings account. So your money actually grows a little while it's sitting there.
Okay, makes sense. Accessible, but also working for you, even just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of leads nicely into the next core budgeting idea, really understanding the difference between your needs and your wants.
Ah, the classic needs versus wants. Seems straightforward, but maybe harder in practice.
It can be. Our source defines needs pretty clearly. Food, housing, basic transportation, healthcare, the absolute essentials you need to live.
The must-haves.
Right. And wants are everything else. Dining out frequently, entertainment subscriptions, impulse buys, luxury items.
And you really need to be honest with yourself here, don't you? It's easy to justify a want as a need sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. We're all guilty of that occasionally. But making that conscious distinction, especially when you're trying to get control of your finances, is powerful. Prioritizing needs frees up cash.
Which you can then channel into that emergency fund or maybe paying down debt.
Exactly. And once you're getting a feel for that, there are other clever tactics. One that often gets missed is negotiating your regular bills.
Negotiating.
Like,
Haggling with your internet provider.
yeah, you'd be surprised. Internet, phone, sometimes even insurance. Many companies have retention departments or are willing to offer a better deal if you just ask, especially if you mention competitor pricing.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought of that. Seems a bit bold, maybe.
It can feel that way, but what's the worst they can say? No. And the potential savings can be significant over a year.
And the article mentioned tools for this too, right? Like apps that help?
It did, yeah. Things like Rocket Money or Bill Shark, some of these services will actually negotiate on your behalf for a fee or a cut of the savings.
Interesting. So even if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself,
There are options, and saving even, say, $100 a year or more just from a few phone calls, that's worth it when you're building your financial foundation.
definitely. Okay, so tracking, emergency fund, needs versus wants, negotiating. Are there any frameworks, like rules of thumb?
Yeah, a popular one mentioned is the 50-30-20 rule. It's a pretty simple guideline for dividing up your take-home pay.
Okay, 50-30-20. Break it down for me.
Sure. So the idea is roughly 50% of your income goes towards your needs, rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transport, all that essential stuff.
Got it. Half for the must-haves.
Then about 30% is allocated for your wants. This is the fun stuff, dining out, hobbies, entertainment, shopping.
The lifestyle part.
Exactly. And the final 20% is crucial. That goes towards savings, investing, and paying off debt beyond minimum payments.
So 20% for future you, essentially.
Precisely. What's nice about 50-30-20, especially for beginners, is it gives you structure, but it's not super rigid. It builds in room for both responsibility and enjoyment.
I like that balance. It doesn't feel like you have to deprive yourself completely.
No, and sustainable habits are key. A budget that's too strict is hard to stick to long term.
Okay, so those are some really concrete budgeting actions anyone can start thinking about. But our sources also talked about something bigger, right? This idea of financial literacy.
Yes, absolutely. Moving beyond just the immediate how-to of budgeting to the why and the broader understanding.
So how would you define financial literacy for someone hearing that term for maybe the first time?
Well, our source basically describes it as having the knowledge and the skills to manage your financial resources effectively for lifetime financial security.
Okay, so it's understanding and applying.
Exactly. It covers budgeting and saving, like we've discussed, but also understanding things like credit scores, how debt works, the basics of investing, insurance, kind of the whole financial ecosystem.
And it seems like a lot of people maybe struggle with this, feel intimidated.
That's definitely what the research suggests. Many people feel they lack basic financial knowledge, and unfortunately, that can lead to real problems getting into unmanageable debt, missing out on opportunities to grow wealth, making poor financial decisions out of, well, just not knowing.
And it feels like it's getting more complex, not less. Digital banking, crypto, all these new financial products.
It really is. The landscape is constantly changing, which makes having that foundational literacy even more critical just to navigate everyday financial life.
So what are the upsides then? What are the real benefits of becoming more financially literate?
Oh, huge benefits. Our source points out it directly leads to better financial health. When you understand this stuff, you tend to make better decisions.
Like avoiding bad debt.
Exactly. You're less likely to fall into high-interest debt traps. You're better equipped to build that emergency fund, create a stable financial base.
Which probably reduces a ton of stress.
Absolutely. Financial stress is a major issue for a lot of people. Literacy helps alleviate that and lets you plan for the long term, buying a house, paying for education, saving for retirement with more confidence.
And you mentioned investing earlier. That seems like a key area where literacy is crucial.
Definitely. Investing can feel really scary if you don't understand the basics, but financial literacy helps demystify it.
So just understanding what a stock is or a mutual fund.
Yeah, even that basic level helps. Knowing that a stock is a piece of a company or a mutual fund bundles lots of investments together. It helps you understand risk and reward.
And make more informed choices, rather than just jumping on a trend or taking a wild gamble.
Precisely. It allows you to think strategically about growing your wealth over time, hopefully outpacing inflation, which is, the rising cost of things.
Makes sense. Grow your money so it keeps its value or even increases it.
That's the goal. And interestingly, the benefits aren't just personal. Our source touched on how individual financial literacy actually helps the broader economy.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. People who are financially savvy are generally less reliant on social safety nets. They might be more likely to start businesses, creating jobs.
Ah, okay. More entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and they're generally better prepared to handle economic shocks, like recessions, which makes the whole economy more resilient. So individual knowledge contributes to collective strength.
That's a really interesting connection.
Hmm.
Okay, quick detour. What about listeners whose income isn't regular, like freelancers, gig workers? That 50-30-20 rule might be tricky month to month.
That's a great point. And the budgeting source actually addressed this specifically. The advice for variable income is to create a base budget.
A base budget.
Yeah, you figure out your essential expenses based on what you earn in your lowest income months. That way you know your absolute must-pays are covered even when work is slow.
Smart. Plan for the lean times.
Exactly. Then, in the months where you earn more than that base amount, the extra income gets allocated strategically
Towards what?
towards priorities. Beefing up the emergency fund faster, paying down debt more aggressively, making extra investments, whatever your goals are, it helps smooth out the bumps.
That makes a lot of sense for managing that uncertainty.
Yeah.
Okay, one last practical tip that came up, automation.
Yes. This is such a powerful tool for simplifying things and, honestly, for tricking yourself into doing the right thing.
Tricking yourself. How?
Well, by making things automatic. Setting up an automatic transfer from your checking to your savings account every payday, for example.
So the money moves before you even see it or have a chance to spend it.
Exactly. Out of sight, out of mind. Same for loan payments, maybe contributions to an investment account. Automating takes the decision-making burden off you each time.
Reduces the temptation to skip a savings deposit or spend the money elsewhere.
Precisely. It helps enforce discipline without feeling like a constant chore. It just happens in the background.
That sounds incredibly helpful, especially when you're busy or just starting to build these habits.
It really is a simple way to make progress consistently.
Okay, so wrapping things up for our listener who's maybe feeling new to all this finance stuff, the big message seems to be, you can get control. It's achievable.
Absolutely. It starts with those first steps.
Yeah, understanding where your money goes, tracking it, building that emergency cushion, even if you start small, getting real about needs versus wants.
And don't forget exploring those other things, like maybe trying to negotiate a bill or two.
Right, and using a simple framework like 5-2-30-20 as a starting guide can help. But underlying all of that is the power of just knowing more.
That financial literacy piece. Understanding the basics truly is the foundation for long-term security and growth.
So a final thought then, maybe something for people to chew on after listening.
Well, I think it's important to remember that financial security isn't really about hitting some magic number or being rich overnight.
It's more of a journey.
Exactly. It's about having the knowledge, the skills, and the habits to navigate your financial life with confidence, whatever comes your way, good times or bad. It's about empowerment.
So the real takeaway is, just start. Take one small step today.
That's it. Download an app, calculate 1 month's expenses, set up that first tiny automatic savings transfer. That first step is often the hardest, but it gets the ball rolling towards, greater peace of mind.